Hello. Welcome to Shmirchik Fetch's Corner. Where you experience all the unpleasantness that comes with me. I have a little problem. I don't know how to change the thumbnail. Literally. I don't know how to change the thumbnail to something more pleasant. Right? Like, edit. I want to manage my videos, and I want to delete the thumbnail. The problem is that it doesn't allow me to delete it. It's the strangest thing. Learn more. I don't want Hitler on every of my change. Let's go see. Maybe I can do Israeli flag. How about that? I'll download an Israeli flag. Israeli flag, and maybe that will, instead of Hitler. Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's what I have to do. Change. I don't want Hitler in my... I literally don't want the guy on my thumbnail because it's not about him, even though we may talk about him and the Christians, but at this point it's not about him. You know what I mean? Literally. Oh, here. Right? Visibility. Here's that. Hey. I don't really know what to do. I don't know how to... It's like what? Like suddenly I can't get rid of thumbnails when I want. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want that to be displayed on my channel at all. But I don't know how to, you know, I don't know how to delete it. Whatever. I'll have to figure it out another time. Whatever. It is what it is. Okay, so today's June. No, it's not June. It's July. July 27, 2025. Not July 27, no. July 10. What am I saying? First of all, let's check that the sound is working.
Edit.
Yeah. So the sound's working. Today's July. I wish I could just get rid of any thumbnail. Like, I don't want any thumbnail. Let's see if I can inspect this. No. I don't know why it doesn't let me. Okay, so today is July 10, 2025. And we're going to go and see the news, right? Unfortunately, right, I'm not tech savvy. It is what it is, my friends. So let's go to the news, shall we? Okay. So Gaza deadly challenge. IDF faces renewed attacks as Hamas allies regroups. Okay, so today there was a terrorist attack in Gush Etzion, which is actually Gush Etzion. It's actually, I think it's in the center. Gush Etzion is in the center. It's a settlement, actually. No, it's in the Judean mountains, right? And so there was an attack. Some terrorists decided to open fire, right? So this is something that they do every day. One person was killed. One soldier was killed by a terrorist thug who started to literally go after civilians. What they usually do is like their favorite pastime is literally going after civilians.
Judean mountains.
Right. So, two terrorists perpetrate the attack, both neutralized. Israeli man succumbs to the wounds. The terrorist attack took place at Gush Etzion Junction in Judea and Samaria shortly after 2:30 p.m. on Thursday, resulting in one Israeli fatality. Initial reports suggest two attackers carried out the attack and were neutralized on site by security forces. The attack took place near the Rami Levi supermarket They arrived armed with a gun and a knife. So here's a video of the attack. Let's go see it. Oh no, it's already after. Yeah, so it was not immediately clear how many Israeli casualties were on the scene. First responders said the victim. First responders said that the victim was an Israeli man in his 20s who had just completed shopping and was loading his car's truck. He confronted the terrorists, but had been severely injured after being shot and was pronounced dead shortly after the incident. Wow. Wow, okay, so a Magen David Adom paramedic said, "We received a report about a man injured in a shooting attack and immediately dispatched large forces to the scene. We saw a young man around 20 lying unconscious without a pulse and without breathing with wounds to his body. We performed medical examinations, but unfortunately his injury was severe and we had to pronounce him dead." Another medical source said, "This is a shocking shooting attack scene. We arrived with large Magen David Adam's forces, and at the scene there was a great commotion and panic. Additional ambulance teams, provided medical treatment to anxiety victims who were present at the scene." The emergency response team member who shot the terrorists recounted the horror. "I was in the middle of shopping at Raml, he says. I heard gunshots, looked through the window and saw someone shooting at another person with a pistol near the shopping carts. I kicked the door and managed to break it open. I went outside but lost contact with the people. When I saw them, I thought they were the civilians. I started to engage with the terrorists, and at some point, they pulled out a pistol and shot at me. I jumped behind a protective wall. Everyone started shooting, and I shouted, 'Stop!' I jumped towards them and shot them. I confirmed neutralization." They were neutralized. I love it when they're neutralized. The sad part is that one person had to die, right? It's really sad reality here. That's just the way things are here, unfortunately, but it is what it is, right? Humbled by the experience, David Dreiman, an emotional meeting with Yarden Bibas, right? So this guy, he's a star, and he stands with Yarden Bibas, who lost his wife and 2 kids that were murdered on October 7, right? They were taken hostage, and they were murdered. His kids were murdered. So, why is this hurting me? Right? Okay, Netanyahu gives a special gift to Trump. B-2 bomber shaped mezuzah. Let's go see that. Shall we? Let's go see that. Okay, so the Israeli Prime Minister presents a symbolic tribute to the U.S. strike on Iran's Fordo nuclear facility during private White House dinner. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, he gave him a thing on Tuesday, a mezuzah, which is like the parchment with the what's written by scribes, the holy scripture, and to put it on the door, right, of a Jewish household, and it's for protection. So he gave him that in a design of a airplane, the B-2 bomber, honoring the U.S. aircraft that struck Iran's nuclear facility at Fordo. Okay, let's go see that. This is him coming to the White House. 1 second. Let me make myself smaller so you can see. Excuse me, rude. Oh, look how cute. Sarah Netanyahu likes him. He looks very sick. Netanyahu looks sick. He doesn't look well. Look how cute she is. She's a very cute lady. she doesn't know what to do with herself, you know, like when they're at the meeting. That looks like the Pope. Is that the Pope? That looks like the Pope there. Is that the Pope? I think it's the Pope. The Pope.
So I want to present to you.
Oh, it's too loud. Well, it's too loud.
A letter I sent to the whole prosecutor. It's not an review for the Peace Prize, which is well deserved. You should get it.
I don't know what you just said. How do I exit this? I can't get out. You tell me I can't get out of my own video. This is ridiculous. I got out. Somehow I got out. Okay. Alright, so he gave him a nice mezuzah. Right, so this gesture of appreciation through meaningful gifts has evolved into a notable tradition between the two leaders. 5 months earlier, Netanyahu had presented Trump with both a golden pager and a standard pager, referencing the successful pager operation targeting Hezbollah operatives in Lebanon last year. Trump's immediate reaction was one of recognition, stating, "That was a tremendous operation." Pressed with both hands in solidarity before they proceeded to the Oval Office. That's really pretty. That's a nice gift, you know? Currently, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and President Donald Trump are conducting their second meeting in an unscheduled session. Sources from both the Israeli delegation and the White House indicate that Netanyahu's Trump meeting will span approximately 2 hours, conducted in complete privacy with media presence or photographic documentation. Okay, so let's go back to the story. Yeah, so there's this guy, right? I don't want to read it because it's just really sad. Musk makes audacious claim on Gawk. Crowd is silent. Okay. IDF soldier killed in Gaza after thwarting his own kidnapping. Wow, so this is a really scary story. This is actually really frightening. Because, you know, like, if they would have... In some ways, it's better to be dead than to be kidnapped by Hamas. Because when they get you, they kill you. They don't kill you, they torture you first. For many days, they starve you, they sexually assault you, and then they kill you, right? So, troops in the area engaged the attackers with gunfire, striking multiple terrorists and successfully preventing the kidnapping operation. Reserve soldier, Master Sergeant Reservist Abraham Azulai fell on Wednesday evening in Gaza while preventing his own kidnapping. He became the third casualty from Yitzhar. There's like a settlement here called Yitzhar near Nablus, right? Near Shechem, we call it, in the Judea and Samaria, right? In the settlements, and it's really sad because he just got married. So he just got married, and then he goes to war and he dies. Lovely. It's really sad. Azulai left behind his wife Ruth, parents and siblings. The reserve soldier, an engineering equipment operator in the Southern Command engineering unit, fell in battle in southern Khan Yunis in the southern Gaza Strip after fighting terrorists who attempted to kidnap him. Security forces in the area opened fire on the terrorists, hit several of them, and thwarted the kidnapping. He is the 31st casualty from the Samaria Regional Council in the war. Avram grew up in the Elazar settlement, arriving at Yitzhar settlement as a teenager. Right, so there's a lot of teenagers that might be troubled. They go to Yitzhar, right? They go to Tapuach. They go to these settlements here, and they become like whatever they do. I don't know what they do, right? So he established a Hebrew labor company. Right, wow. So he was actually making a company, like a business. He married and built his home at Shaket Farm in Yitzhar Hills. That's really sad because like he had a really nice life, you know. I hope his wife finds healing because it's really hard to find a partner these days. And to find a, hi John, to find a decent partner is really hard these days. And so I really hope she finds someone after she mourns. I hope she finds somebody to marry. He was among dozens of Yitzhar residents who came to assist the IDF in the Gaza Strip operating heavy mechanical engineering equipment. Abraham is the third fallen soldier from Yitzhar settlements in the Iron Swords War. About a year and a half ago, soldier Staff Sergeant Yohanan Lober fell in battle in southern Gaza Strip. And about 8 months ago, Sergeant Schneier Zalman Cohen fell in northern Gaza Strip. He was among our finest sons, right? So the Samaria Regional Council head Yossi Dagan eulogized him, saying, Abraham was, may his memory be a blessing, was a hero, a true pioneer. He was a true pioneer, a builder of hills and farms, worked in preparation and development of farms and road paving in Samaria. He devoted entirely to settling the land of Israel and defending the land of Israel. He came to Samaria as a teenager to build Samaria and was among our finest sons, who build the hills with courage and love, right? So this is what they call the youth movement, which is that they go on the hilltops and they settle it, right? They go on hilltops that there's no one there, and they make a farm and they make houses and they build towns and villages and to help settle Israel, so that to bring more security to the Jewish people here, right? Because according to even Ariel Sharon, for example, according to Ariel Sharon, the only way to really bring security in Israel is to settle the land, right? In all parts of this country, you have to have Jewish settlements and families to prevent terrorist cells from growing and from becoming like Gaza, right? That's the only way to really bring peace to this. You okay, Anne-Marie? You okay? Let me turn off this. So it's very sad, you know. Like I was talking to my friend yesterday, and I was like, Anne-Marie, did you eat this? No, you didn't. Thank God. Yeah. So I was talking to my friend yesterday, and I was like telling her how I feel so sad that so many soldiers are dying, and like, I wish I could do more to try to contribute to this country in some way. And she says to me, my husband's in the IDF. He's a soldier. He goes to Gaza. And he says that every single time he comes back from Gaza and he sees all the people living normal lives. Because I was like telling her, like, I feel so bad because, like, I'm sitting here enjoying my life, right? I have my job. I'm living it up in Israel. I love this country. I have such a good time. I have all my hobbies, and I do all the great stuff here, and I have all these friends, and I have all this, my animals, and I have just so much going for me. And meanwhile, like, every day in the news I see that there are soldiers dying, and so that makes me really sad, and then I feel guilty, I feel guilty that I'm not contributing. I don't feel like I'm contributing so much here. So she said that when her husband comes back from Gaza and he sees everybody, people in Israel having a good life, living normal lives, going about their day, doing their hobbies, living up life, having a good time, her husband feels so good because because the reason why he feels so good is because he understands it makes it even more meaningful fighting in the war in Gaza and fighting the terrorists. It makes it even more meaningful to him that he knows what he's fighting for, to protect people and to protect our freedoms and to protect us from terrorism and to keep us free so that we can live good, happy lives. That's what she said. And so that gave me like a different perspective, right? Like that gave me like, oh, okay. So it's like, when the American soldiers go to war, right? And they know what they're fighting for. They're fighting for the country of America to have peaceful lives and to be able to live freely and with the way they want to live, right? And if God forbid the terrorists from another country that are jihadis come and take over, then all those freedoms are gone. You and your family at the mercy of these barbarians. So, like, yes, those soldiers are dying, but I guess hopefully their death is not for nothing, that we will stay free and safe from these monsters, right? And so, like, for example, you see the way I'm walking here? You see my shirt to my... Do you see the way I'm walking, for example, with my dress, my sleeveless dress? In some countries, you can't walk like that. You know what I'm saying? And so, for women to walk like this, they would get killed. And they'd be seen as a whore, and they'd get raped and killed, right? So, the Jewish state, we don't want it to be like that. We want all women to be able to dress the way they want, live the way they want, and to live happy lives and independent lives. But if the jihadis take over, then we will become like Iran, where the women are slaves and the women get killed for showing a strand of hair, you know? So that's what we're really fighting for. So back to the soldier here. Abraham is the 31st fallen soldier. He gave his life for the people on the land while doing what he loved and believed in, building the land. The Samaria Regional Council family will accompany beloved Ruth with everything she needs from the settlement family in Samaria, and the entire Yitzhar community mourns and embraces the Azulai families. Right, so Gilad company commander eulogized him, saying, Avraham Azulai served as a sniper in the company. I commanded in the first month of the war, a strong young man who always strived to be at the heart of the action, always with ideas to improvement. With the beginning of the attack in Lebanon and the destruction of enemy villages adjacent to the fence in October 2024, he offered himself and his capabilities to remove the murderous threat of Hezbollah from northern communities. He could not bear the fact that he was not drafted. Values-driven, strong, with countless abilities connected to the land, thus he lived and thus he fell on his watch. Your friends and commanders from the 7106 support company love you, right? So basically he really wanted to make a difference, and he gave his life to protect this country. And there's a lot of disturbing stuff on here, and I'm not sure I want to read it. I'm not sure I want to read it. Like, it's just very sad, right? So Netanyahu denies Trump pressure amid Doha hostage talks. Turkish media descends into anti-Semitic propaganda under Erdogan's watch. IDF chief mourns Netzach Yehuda Haredi KIAs. Yeah, so there were 5 soldiers who were killed the other day. They're from the religious brigade. And as we know, right, the religious people, a lot of them don't want to get drafted, right? So there's only the Kippah Sruga, the modern Orthodox Jews here. They serve, and the secular people, and they're trying to create more like ultra-Orthodox religious brigades. And basically, there's been a lot of pushback, right? But they're trying to accommodate the religious people by creating, like, if they're forbidden to be in contact with the women, right, they will make all men's units, and they'll provide them with kosher, and they will provide them with what they need in the army, with kosher food and keeping Shabbat and all that, right? So it's very interesting. 100% in my country, Iranian women are murdered because of that. Yeah, exactly. So that's why, like, I feel so honored to live in this country, you know, like, I feel so lucky, you know, that I actually made it here, and I actually live here. My life is here, you know, and I'm really thankful for that. Okay, so what's next, right? Let's see what else there is. Government ministers clash in attempt to pressure Netanyahu over Gaza hostage deal. Okay, IDF soldiers destroy Khan Yunis terror tunnel, dismantle terrorist infrastructure across Gaza. Okay, so now we are another step forward toward freedom. Romi Gonen released after 5 months in Shiva Hospital. What happened to her? Wow, let's see what happened to her. Okay, so July 10, she's being released from the hospital. So it looks like she was a hostage. She was taken hostage to Gaza, and she was in the hospital for a long time. And why was she in the hospital? She had many injuries sustained on October 7th. She didn't have medical care while she was in Gaza because she was a hostage, and they couldn't care less for human rights and to take care of people that they literally injured, the terrorists. So when she got back, she had to do many surgeries to fix the damage that the terrorists did to her. And on her last day at the hospital, Gonen walked through the corridors of Sheba personally. She personally thanked the medical staff who provided her with dedicated and professional care. And yeah, so this girl lost, like, her fingers, I think, right? Right, so she's going to have a release party, and she had many surgeries, and she says you have to get up when you have to get back up only to fall again. Sadly, I leave knowing I'll soon return here for my 3rd surgery. So she had 2 surgeries, now she has to have a 3rd one, right? She says thank you to the people. her heart is still with the hostages in Gaza, the ones that are still there. And she made a prayer and said that, you know, she said the people of Israel are alive, and with God's help, good news will soon come, she said. She's the girl that lost her fingers. No, she's not the girl that lost her fingers. She's a different one. They all look a bit similar to me. Let's go see the Times of Israel. How about Ynet? Let's see Ynet. West Bank attack victim named, assailants identified as PA security officers. Right. So, you know, there's a lot of talk about the Palestinian Authority wanting to have power in Judea and Samaria, right? And there's a lot of talk about the hi Sebas, why don't you serve in the military? They don't want me. Because first of all, I'm over age. This month I'm 36, and so the draft is usually for younger girls. And second of all, they wouldn't want me. I don't know Hebrew. I would mess up, you know. Right. So I would love to serve. I'm just like, I actually had an opportunity to serve in a different way. I was gonna be part of like a search and rescue unit. Like, it was here in Judea and Samaria. A few years ago, I joined a search and rescue unit to train dogs to find missing people, missing bodies, you know, people who are missing, to find like cadavers, dead bodies, you know, and train the dogs to find them. And they work with the IDF, and they work with the IDF, and they work with the police, right? And I was just too shy. I really wanted to do it, you know, like I would have to wake up at like 5 in the morning to walk the dogs, clean all the kennels, right, and train them and take them out, and go on long days, you know, like all day into God knows where, into some like in some desert somewhere to find dead bodies. And I really wanted to do it. The problem is that I just didn't have I felt like I didn't have the confidence at the time. I didn't have the support or the confidence, me being very shy and all, right? So, you know, I really wanted to do it, but I just, like, I can handle a lot of things, right? But at the time, like, you know, I was in this room with another girl, and I wanted to try it, and it was just like too overwhelming, you know, like, because then there's a big bug in the room, and I was too scared to be in the room with the bug. And I asked the men to take it out, and they couldn't find it, and they said, "Oh, it's not there." Why? Then they said, "Why are you scared?" You know. And then they left. Yeah. And then I was like, "Oh my God! Like I can't. These people are not gonna help me get rid of a bug." You know, like I'm not afraid of dogs. I like dogs. I love animals. I'm not afraid of many things. I'm not afraid of bombs, really, but you know, so. I left. I couldn't do it. It was like also like all males. It was all these like men, and it was just another girl there, one other girl, and I was just way too shy and embarrassed to be part of that, even though I really wanted to. Plus the bug situation, so I didn't join. You know, so yeah, it's just really sad. Also, it was like I'd have to travel with all these guys into the desert, you know. They're good people, you know, I'm sure they're good people, but like, what's if I need the bathroom, you know, like I don't have enough. What's going on here? Is the internet? So basically, I hope it's internet. Basically, if I had a friend there with me, right, then we could have done it together. 36, you look way younger. I was thinking under 30. Thank you. You're very kind. You're very kind. So, basically, if I would have had a friend there with me, then we probably would have really made a good team, right, to be in that search and rescue. Let me show you the search and rescue. Do you want to see what I would have joined, right? The search and rescue team. Dog search and rescue. And rescue Israel. Right, so here. This is the dog unit I would have joined. I think this is it. Yeah, this is it. I want to show you the pictures that I might have joined. Yeah, so, right, so they take them into the fields and they train the dogs, right? Every day they train the dogs and they go places and they have to train it to jump on high places and to go find and smell. You teach them to smell certain scents, and then they have to go, you put it out in the field and you touch it on things, and then they have to go find the scent, they have to find the smell, right? And so I was gonna like volunteer there, but why doesn't it let me click in? Is something wrong? I was gonna go and volunteer, but you know, it's open cases. It's not letting me click in. That's weird. It doesn't let me click in. Okay. So I was gonna go and volunteer, but I couldn't. I was just too shy. You know, like that's the really sad part of my life, is my shyness. You know what I mean? Like in real life, I'm very shy. You know, I get very embarrassed. Yeah. So let's go see this one. Maybe there's more pictures here. Maybe on Facebook somewhere. Right? So who's this? Oh, this guy. I know this guy. Community projects. Let's see, women's division. Engage. Contact us. It's really dogging it, right? I want to show you the pictures. Women's division. I know that guy. It's embarrassing. Okay, I'm not going to tell you about it. K9 unit, right? Okay, so then you have the actual soldiers who are part of like a unit in the IDF, where they basically they train their dogs to go with them into battle, right? And so it's like very grueling training, and I don't know if you can see, it's like very grueling training, and they spend a lot of time with the dog, training it over and over, making them jump into high places, right? And so then these dogs go with the soldiers into war, and a lot of the time these dogs save the lives of the soldiers, and sometimes the dogs get wounded, and it's really tragic. But you know, the dogs, they're like literally man's best friend, right? So let's go see this video. Yeah, this is the place that I was volunteering at. This is the place I was, literally, this is where I was. And I only stayed for a couple of days, and I couldn't do it. Yeah, that guy's American. Yeah, so this is exactly where I was. I don't know, can you guys see? Should I make myself smaller? I need to make myself smaller so you can see. This is actually where I was. To search for missing persons, to locate them. Sometimes I just like, I worry for the dog's teeth, you know. Sometimes when they're doing the training sessions, I worry for the dog's teeth. So you see, we rely on the aid that we receive. It's a volunteer. Yeah, so there's missing people in Israel, and sometimes they find them dead. A lot of these missing people, they're not well, like they're mentally ill, so they wander off somewhere and they don't know where they are, and then it's like really sad. Yeah, so that's, and you can donate. I'm not gonna donate, I don't have money. So that's where I was gonna volunteer. I tried. I was just, also I didn't really have a place to live at the time, right? That was one of the reasons I also decided to, decided to join was because they would give like accommodations, and I would have a place to live, but I would be working for them, and it was like, it sounded like a really good deal at the time. But so we have an Iranian here who's happy and simping for the country, who's bombing Iran. In the state we call it Uncle Tom, someone who likes their oppressor. Do better next time. No, devil. John is sticking up for his people who are occupied by a terror state. So I know you're simping for the terror state, devil, because you're literally the devil, but get lost, you know. Yeah, so that's something that they do. That's something that I was going to join. And right, so that's something I want to show you guys. Right, so next is tired. Iran tells UN nuclear watchdog to end double standards. Right, so Trump is Israel's last chance. Okay, this is really sad. This whole thing is just tragic. Israeli news is tragedy. Rare bushy-tailed Jerd spotted in Dead Sea Reserve. Former hostage Eli Sharabi memoir to be released in English. With Iran's war behind them, Israelis flock abroad. Despite soaring travel costs. I guess, yeah, so the lady I work for today, this lady I work for today, her granddaughter saved up money and she went to Thailand, right? She went to Thailand, and John is in Iran, and he lost internet literally during the 12-day war. He lost internet because the what's wrong with this? I really don't know. I hope my internet is not like defaulting. Right? Right? So, you don't have a gun to defend yourself. Yeah. So it's like these people, they come on this channel, right? And they say, oh, he's simping for Iran. Listen, the guy's in Iran. Lunatic. The guy's in Iran, and he's dealing with a terror state who terrorizes their people and kills people. You know? It's unbelievable how ignorant people could be. Yeah. The people are poor, and they're suffering, and, you know. So back to the, yeah, so the lady that I work for, she actually, her granddaughter saved money. Her granddaughter's 15. So her and her friend saved money, and they went to Thailand for a few weeks. A lot of Israelis, they're so stressed out that they just want some sort of escape. So they want to go travel somewhere peaceful, you know? I understand them. It's very stressful. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, we know Armin. Yeah. Yeah. Armin is great, so... Okay, so... How 100 plus emergency... Okay, let's go to this. Something else. Let's go to... Netanyahu tells hostage families Hamas will pick which captives go free in a deal. Seriously? This is so sick. Hamas is an evil, you know? Netanyahu stresses Israel will return fighting if truce 60 days don't yield deal to Gaza war. Iran acknowledges arresting Franco-German cyclist, claims he committed a crime. Right, sure. Two perpetrators of West Bank terror attack named as Palestinian Authority police officers. Can you imagine? Like, these people in the PA, right, the Palestinian Authority, they're all terrorists, you know? They're, the people that do terror, they're in the, what they call the, what do you call that? They're the police. They're the police officers that go and kill Jewish civilians in the supermarket. And look at them. Look at them. They're in the police and they're shooting Jews in a supermarket. Can you imagine? Right, so this is why it's like so dangerous to have these they're like they're ticking time bomb, you know? So the two perpetrators of the shooting attack in Gush Etzion were Palestinian cops who served in the Palestinian Authority police force at the times of Israel has learned. The two are in their early 20s and had completed their training only a few months ago. They carried out a combined stabbing and shooting attack that killed an Israeli security guard and were shot dead at the scene. They are named by Palestinian media as Mahmoud Abed, 23, from Halhol, and Malik Salim, 23, from Tulkarem. Terrorists, you know? Neither had any security background, nor were previously detained by Israel, the defense official says. So, if anyone's wondering, like, why the Israeli forces go into, like, Palestinian villages and randomly go and bang down their door in search of terrorists, because they do terrorism, and then they have to figure out who's responsible, who planned it, and then they have to figure out, are they planning more attacks, right? So that's why they go into Arabs' homes and they rough them up a little bit, because like it's like a family business, you know. All the Muslims together, they're family business. Yeah, so Macron urges UK French recognition of Palestinian state. Whenever Macron, he's suffering from erectile dysfunction. Israeli man killed in terror attack, right? So let's go see. This is the boy who was killed today in a terrorist attack here in Judea and Samaria. I could have been there, you know, like I could have been there myself. I live nearby. I literally live in Judea and Samaria. In my town there was a shooting. A few times there was a shooting while I was living here. I could have been there walking my dog, you know. I could have gotten shot by a terrorist. Soldier stabbed in the West Bank. Palestinian boy said to die of wounds from IDF raid last week. Police recruit settler for new West Bank civilization enforcement squads. Civilian enforcement squads. Settlement watchdogs warn new unit will worsen attacks on Palestinians as Ben Gvir touts quasi-police squads, saying they reflect a new combative mindset among Israelis. What's this? Is it like vigilante justice? Vigilante, like community patrol? I guess, you know, Israelis are sick and tired of being butchered, so I guess they gotta do what they gotta do, you know? Like, just make myself some tea and take it easy. Right? You know, I'm exhausted. You know? I don't know why I get so tired. I went to Jerusalem today. And, I went to Jerusalem. I literally went to Jerusalem today, and my company's Armin Navadi, he's a freedom fighter. Oh, Susanna, I like Susanna, she's very cool. Susanna is great, I really like her. She's very cute, you know what I mean? Excuse me. Yeah, whatever. Back to this. So what's happening here with the police unit squads, right? Okay, so new recruits in the police's West Bank First Response Civilian Squads. So these are people that are actually from the homes in the settlements, and they are civilian squads, and they're probably armed, and they are ready and dangerous. They're ready to take on the monsters. So police launched a new West Bank unit composed of Jewish volunteers from the settlements and the territory. Law enforcement announced Wednesday night, a move that sparked alarm from rights groups, with some calling it a private militia loyal to far-right national security Minister Ben Gvir, right? The quasi-police force, whose stated goal is to provide an immediate response to terrorist attacks. Listen, like, it's very easy for, like, all these rights groups to call on, you know, to say, oh, it's this extremists, but it's basically community patrol, because it's a very smart idea, because these people that are going to be part of this community patrol, they are the community. So if their community gets attacked by terrorists, they can be prepared to fight back, which is really smart. So the quasi-police force, whose stated goal is to provide an immediate response to terrorist attacks until the police and IDF troops arrive, has already equipped over 100 newly minted volunteers with weapons and tactical gear. This is amazing, because these settlements in Israel, like these communities in Israel, in Judea and Samaria, they are the front line of terrorists that come and actually try to come into their homes and kill their babies. Do you know what I'm saying? Why do I stay in the Middle East? Wouldn't it be safer for you to go back into the States? Well, considering what's been happening in the States, like, I feel safer here. You know what I mean? If you're a Jewish person and you live in the States, did you see what happened to that 82-year-old Jewish woman who was set ablaze? She was set on fire by a terrorist Palestinian from Egypt, and she died, and many other people were wounded and burnt alive. Did you not see what happened to the Jewish men and women who were murdered by the Israeli events in Washington? Do you not see what's happening every single day in the Jewish communities? How the Jewish communities are targeted and hate crimed in the Jewish community by Jew haters? So I understand your question, but if you're a Jewish person, you're number one target, and the hate crimes are all directed at the Jews outside of Israel. So it's really not safe anywhere for Jewish people, but I feel more safe here, because at least here we have an army. So at least here we have an army. So even if shit goes down, you know what I'm saying, at least we have a fighting chance. In America, for example, you know, when shit goes down, depending on who's in the office, right, who's president at the time, that's how you'll know, like, okay, will I get justice? Will the police come? Will my family be dead by the time the police come? Will this guy be arrested? Entire Jewish children are being attacked and assaulted. Children are being punched in the face. The terrorists are coming to schools, and the police have to guard the Jewish community schools, right? The synagogues need police force there because we're number one target. You know, like, think about that for a second, right? So it's a good question, but honestly, I feel safer here. It's also a mindset, you know what I'm saying? Like, here, the mindset is, it's a different feeling when you're in Israel. It's a different people, you know what I mean? My family's in the States, and I worry for them. I'm more worried for them than for me, you know? Like, I really feel safe here. I kind of wish my family would move here because of all the hate crimes that are happening in America and in everywhere. Like, if you follow, like, Jewish news, if you go look on, like, local Jewish news go look at local Jewish news in Chicago, right? Go look at the local Jewish news, like the community Jewish news. You'll see a lot of the attacks being reported in the Jewish community. You'll see how much the Jewish community is being attacked, right? And slashed in the face, stabbed, attempted assaults, you know, like on the women. Children are being, you know, so at this point, like, I don't know what kind of fighting chance Jewish people have outside of Israel. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? All insecurity is because of IRGC in Iran, yeah. Israel's a very nice place. It is. Like, I really like it here. Like I said many times. Yes, you have places that are unsafe in Israel. It's usually unsafe because wherever there's like a Islamic community, you have to be a little bit wary because you have to like be here to understand the difference between being in like near an Islamic community and near like a mixed city. And let's say in a mixed city they have just like majority Muslims. You'll see how you'll feel there. You know what I'm saying? You might not feel so safe, and they generally don't live the best. They're not the most hygienic. You know, they don't care so much for hygiene. So, you know what I'm saying? I got a culture shock when I was 18, and I came here. They took me to Raml, Lud, right? Yeah, I know that. I know that, John. Thanks. So, for example, if I show you the Bedouins, for example, in Raml, Lud, you'll see exactly what I mean. So, I'll take you here. Bedouins in Raml, Lud. Right, so there are some Bedouins who live in the Raml, Lud, and then you have like regular Muslims living there, and they like certain cities. I'm sorry to say this, but I had such a culture shock when I came to Israel. I land in Tel Aviv airport, and I land in Israel. Okay, let's just do Raml Lud here. There's a Jewish community in Raml Lud. It's a mixed city, right? Arabs and Jews. It was such a culture shock when I went there that I'll tell you why. Right? I'll tell you why. Because where am I? Here I am. Yeah. I'll tell you why. So I get off the airplane, I touch down Tel Aviv, right? And they come and pick me up in the car from Tel Aviv. They drive me to Lud, right? I must have been very tired because no, it was the day, but I was very tired. And they drive me into Lud, the city of Lud. And suddenly I see all these Arabs that look like they come from the Stone Age. They're wearing like shmatas on their head. You know, like, you know how they wear, the Arabs, shmatas on their head. Their families are living on the side of the road. Anywhere. They just plunk themselves down anywhere. And they have their communities, like in tents, in the middle of the city. And you have chickens flying everywhere next to any random road while you're driving through. And, you know, and the place is filthy. The garbage is piled to the sky. And it's supposed to, and then you get to like the places where it's supposed to be normal, right? And yes, there's buildings and there's regular living situation like buildings, but because it's a very mixed city and it's heavily Arabic, so there's like the Jews are the minority there. So you have the most of the place is like trash. It's a pile of trash, and there's a lot of people doing drugs there, mostly Islamic jihadis, and the men are. It was like an epidemic, you know, like you go to the store, you try to go to the store, and these Arabic men are hitting on you. They just don't leave you alone. Hey, how are you? Where are you from? Oh, let me buy you ice cream. Let me buy you this. They try to offer you stuff, you know, they try to give you, you're a girl, they try to give you stuff, right? And they harass you, the men, right? It's like what's happening in England. I lived in Egypt in my teenage years. I hated it. I don't want to ever go back to the Middle East. Yeah, so you can imagine, like, Lud, right? And going out anytime, it's like, it's really annoying because you get harassed by all these Arabs, and the Jews kind of keep them to themselves. And you go to the mall, it's all Arabic. It's a heavily Arabic city, Lud, and the small Jewish communities live there, and they live among the Arabs, but it's a shithole, you know, because the Arabs, they like to throw their trash on the side of the road, you know. That's something they like to do. It's a part of the culture. It's weird. I don't know why, and I don't understand why every Arabic city, like any city that's like heavily with Muslims there, like why they like to live in shit, you know, like I can tell you another thing that happened, right? So, oh yeah, and so then I was in the seminar with the girls, right? I was there for in a program for 8 months, and I know I really had a good time, but it was so weird to be in a place where, in like a shithole, and then we had our little place where we lived with the girls, with the 18-year-old girls, and the rabbis would give lectures and learn, and the girls would get points for college, and of course I didn't learn anything because I was just useless in learning, and so then the prison, the biggest prison in Israel was behind our the biggest prison in Israel was, maybe I could show you pictures, right? The biggest prison of Israel was in our backyard. The barbed wires we can see from the backyard. You go for a walk, you can see the inmates running around with their sneakers, right? And there were like Jewish people locked up there, but it was mostly terrorists. Like there were innocent Jewish people that are like political prisoners, because whatever, we have a problem in Israel where our government likes to lock up people that like defend themselves from Muslims. If they defend themselves too well, then we have like traitors in our government that will take the side of the Muslim against the Jew, right? It's a very fucked up situation. So this girl was there, and I tried to go visit her, but I didn't know how. I just never managed to visit her in that prison. I tried to get through. I don't know. I went with somebody else. I don't remember exactly. It was with my friend Mushka. I don't know. So then this was like when I was 18. So this was a good 18, I'm 36, right? So this was, do the math, 10, 15, 16, 17, this is like 18 years ago, right? So, right? So, yeah, so I tried to go to the prison there to visit, and didn't manage to go. And then what did I do? Right? And then, yeah, so then we had a robbery. We had a robbery in our, in our, the place where we're living, right? Let me show you. Let me show you. Hold on. Let me show you the prison in Raml, Lud. Prison in Raml, Lud. This is like the biggest prison where they keep all the jihadis, right? Yeah, so this is what it looked like from our window. This is literally what it looked like from our window. You see this? I don't know if you can see this. I don't know if you can see this. But you see this? This is what we saw from our window. This is what we saw. Not from our window, from behind. In the backyard. This is what it looks like. The prison. I was shocked. I came to Israel and I'm like, imagine you see these faces. You know, this is what you have in your backyard. You're learning in the seminar, and the prison is there, and with all the terrorists that kill people, right? So I wonder if you could, if I could show you like where you could see their feet from under the gate, where they would go out to play. They would go play ball, right? So let's go see Chabad in Lud. Chabad, it's like a shithole, I'm telling you. Chabad in Lud. Ramla Lud. Let's see it in Ramla Lud. Right? It's Ramle, but it's Ramla. Okay. Oh my god. Yeah, and then we had a robbery in our seminary. So Chabad Ramla Lud. Seminary. Maybe there can be pictures. You know what I mean? Okay. Holy cow, I think this is the girls I was with. Maybe it wasn't, I don't know. Was I here? I don't remember if I was here or not, you know what I mean? I don't know, maybe I wasn't. I might have it on Facebook. I could show you. Do you know what I mean? This is what it looked like, pretty much. I don't remember what it was called. Like, I literally don't remember. It's like the time passed and I don't even... Whatever. Yeah, whatever. So, I don't know why I can't see Raml. Pictures. Let's see if we can go find it for you. Like, you can actually see what it's like there. I don't know. Whatever. Okay, so we had a robbery in the sleeping quarters where we lived, right? We had a robbery, and I was like one of the only people left there with another girl while everybody went away for Shabbat. And everybody went away for Shabbat, and my mind's not working. And they were in the place with us, and all the girls put their jewelry and their passports into the box in the wall. There was like a safe where they would put everything. There was a safe attached to the wall, and the girls put everything in there. They put their jewelry, they put their passports, everything. And these Muslims came into our seminary. They ripped while the girls were for Shabbat, they were out, right? I left later, so, you know, they were in the house while I was there, and we heard noise, and they were there when I was there with some other girls, and at the time we didn't know it, and so they ripped the boxes off the wall with everything in it. Thank God I was a little bit more street smart, so I didn't Thank God I was a little bit more street smart, so I didn't put all my stuff in there. I only put a few $100s in the box, right? And I hid my passport somewhere else, and my other stuff, I put half my money in the box, and I put half the money somewhere else with my passport. And I didn't have so much stuff, but I had my stuff folded like really neatly. So when we got back after Shabbat, the place was ransacked. Like, everything from all the shelves were on the floor, and all the clothes from all the closets from the girls where we slept, right? All the dressers, it was empty, right? And everybody's stuff was empty on the floor. It was churban. It was like a big mess, and it was like a disaster. And the girls were all crying because a lot of them lost heirlooms, you know, from their great grandma. They put it in the safe, and a lot of them lost their passports and everything, and they lost money and jewelry, diamonds they put in there, and they're crying. And then they called the police, and the police came, and I remember they came to have a good time. Like, it didn't look like they cared much. They literally just like took a report. They sat down, and they were drinking a beer, and they're drinking soda, and that's what happened. But everybody was surprised because, like, my closet was the only one that wasn't touched. My closet was the only one that wasn't touched because it was like very neat. It wasn't a mess, and there was like almost nothing in there, so they didn't touch it. But so thank God I didn't have to go get a new passport, and a lot of valuables were stolen. And I said to myself, like, there's like a safe on the wall. The first place that a thief would go to would be to the safe, and it's no surprise that we got robbed because the prison was behind the door, behind the fence. So, okay, back to the recruitment of the settlement watchdog group, right? So police launched a new West Bank unit composed of Jewish volunteers from the settlement and the territory. Law enforcement announced Wednesday night a move that sparked alarm from right groups, with some calling it a private militia loyal to far-right National Ben Gvir. The quasi-police force, whose stated goal is to provide an immediate response to terror attacks until the police and the IDF troops arrive, has already equipped over 100 newly minted volunteers with weapons and tactical gear. The new force alarmed settlement watchdog groups. Right, so those watchdog groups can go to hell, right, because we don't care for them. They warned that the move will only worsen the burgeoning phenomenon of settler attacks against Palestinians. Oh, the poor Palestinians. Literally, like, the Palestinians. You saw what they did today. They killed the Jew that was shopping at a mall, like that was shopping at a supermarket. They were trying to kill Jewish civilians in a shopping center. Like, that's what they do. Oh, so you're worried about them? Like, really? They're worried about the poor Palestinians, you know? Oh, the poor Palestinians, you know? Like, give me a fucking break. The unit was inaugurated in a Wednesday night ceremony at the Tomb of the Patriarchs in the West Bank city of Hebron, during which Ben-Gvir addressed new recruits. He said that 105 volunteers have so far been recruited into the West Bank unit, which so far has squads in the settlements of Efrat, Gush Etzion, Kiryat Arba, Hebron, and Megillat Regional Council. It's really important because these people that are from these settlements in Judea and Samaria, they are the first to get killed by these Muslim jihadis. Just like you saw today, where 2 people from the Palestinian Authority that were part of the Palestinian police, the people in the authority, right? They went to go and try to kill Jewish civilians shopping in a food market. You know what I mean? Like, but then, oh, we're the dangerous ones? No, we need to protect ourselves from them, because that's the type of thing. Their police, their authority, go and kill Jews. Like, that's what they do. So these squads represent a departure from the defensive mindset and towards combative, militant, and offensive mindset. That's better. It's much better to be on the offense, right? Who himself resides in Kiryat Arba. So the minister resides in Kiryat Arba, right? So I've been to Kiryat Arba, which is right near Hebron, and I've walked many times alone from Kiryat Arba to... I can't believe it. I was so crazy when I was 18, right? When I was 18, I came to Israel, and when I came, I told you I came to Israel as part of a program, and then on the off days, you know, on the holidays, sometimes on Hanukkah, we were off, right? Some holidays we can go wherever we want. So I would go with my friend to... I like to go to Kiryat Arba. I like to go to Hebron, because Hebron is where our matriarchs and the patriarchs are buried. You know, like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and their wives are buried in Hebron. And so it's a very dangerous area, because Hebron is... there's basically like a few hundred families of Jewish people surrounded by like 1 million Arabs. And the Arabs are out for blood, and they kill people all the time. And to get to... a lot of people just go in the car from Kiryat Arba to Hebron if they want to go to and from. Because Kiryat Arba is like it's like a little town, a gated town in the middle of Arabs. And Hebron is with the matriarchs and the patriarchs where they're buried is like right here. But you have to go through a whole winding thing. You have to walk through Arab towns and through Arab cities to get to the matriarch and patriarch, the tomb, right? And so I went, and they have like soldiers, you know, like they have soldiers along the way, but it's very easy to get lost, and the and the Muslims, they can attack at any time, and they can open the door and pull you in, like they could kidnap you. It's a very scary thing. And I would go myself. I'd walk from Kiryat Arba. I think I walked from Kiryat Arba to Hebron, right? I would walk. And I can't believe I did that, you know. One time I stayed by some rabbi's house with his wife. They lived in Hebron. Not even in they live in a very dangerous area, which is like all their neighbors were Arabs. All their neighbors were Arabs. And so we slept in their house, and they lived in like a building style thing, and they had they made Shabbat really nice, and they made challah. They made the bread, you know, the challah that they make, really nice dough, and so I stayed there, but it's a very dangerous area because they live literally, they're Arabs. Their neighbors are violent Arabs that, if they could, they would kill you. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't like Jews living in anywhere where they live. So, right? So I decided to go for a walk myself, you know? I don't know, I was stupid. I went alone, walking myself among the Arabs, you know? And sometimes the soldiers would direct me back, you know, like, where are you going? Go back. Because there's soldiers along the way. And so then I went back, and I remember, like, sitting there on Shabbat, and I was so ugly back then. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't good looking. And when I was 18, I wasn't very good looking. Did not look good. I was so ugly. So, I was like drooling over these like really handsome men, like these soldiers, Oh my god, they're so cute. You know, like these handsome, like rugged, tall built men with the Israeli sabras, like dark and handsome and all that, right? But most of them were married. You know, all the girls were attracted to them. So was I. Back in the day. Right? And they were all sitting around with the guy that lived, the balabait, the person who's the house, the person that lives in the house. They were all surrounding him. They were talking. All these like handsome soldiers in there, you know. And I don't know. I went wandering around in dangerous places here. You know, I wouldn't do that today. I don't think I would do that today. I was a little bit more naive back then, and even though I understood the threat of the Muslim terrorists, because I knew they're terrorists, but somehow I just very friendly, and I didn't think anyone would hurt me, and you know, I guess I'm just lucky I didn't get hurt badly or kidnapped somewhere. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. So that's when I was 18. And then I came back. I kept in contact with a few people here, and I came back when I was 27 years old. I came back here, and I actually went straight to the northern part of Judea and Samaria, the West Bank here. I lived there for 2.5 years, and it was very interesting to live and to be among the people, the Israelis, and to live near the Arabs as well. It's very wild. This place is unique. There's nowhere like this place in the world, you know. There's nowhere. The Israeli people are one of a kind. They are unique. They are special. They are fighters. They're warriors. They're like wild cowboys, you know, from, you know, the cowboys in the Wild West. You know, like the cowboys in the Wild West back then. That's how they are, a lot of them here. A lot of them are like that, you know, like you have like these Israeli men that live in Judea and Samaria, and they're very, and the women, they're very, yes, they get killed all the time, but it makes them tougher, and they know they have guns, and they are so badass. They drive through Arab villages, because like to get to their village they have to pass through an Arab village, because there's no other way to get there, because that's just the way it is. So there's a place between Tapuach, I think it is. It's called Tapuach, right? There's a place between certain settlements, right? Between one settlement and the other, you have to get through a place. You have to go through Tapuach, and then there's the place called, what's it called? It's an Arab village you have to go through, and a lot of the times the Arabs will like do they will do what you call like a mob, right? And they will attack any Jewish family driving through. They'll try to attack and pull open the door and kidnap the kids and do lynchings, right? Kill Jews driving through in the car. What's that village called? It's called, what's it called? You got to Tapuach, you have to go through Hawara. You have to go to Hawara, yeah. So it's called Hawara, right? You have to go through Hawara. From Tapuach, you have to go through Hawara to get to where you want to get. If you live like any Tamar, you know, if you live near Nablus, you have to go through the Arab village of Hawara. And in Hawara, the Arabs there, they are very violent. But the thing is that it's a very weird thing, because you have the violent Arabs, right? And then you have the Arabs that they want to do peace. They don't want to do peace. They just want to do business. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the Jewish people will do business with the Arabs in Judea and Samaria, right? Like there's a lot of business going on here between the Arabs and the Jews. And that's something that nobody talks about, and that's something that the American media, the Western media, they ignore. They don't want to know about it, right? Like, you know, because while there are Muslims that are busy killing everybody, you have Muslims that are just living their lives and doing their own thing and trying to do a hustle, and the Jews doing a hustle, and the Jewish people employ them, the Arabs, to build houses and in their settlements, right? So it's a very interesting life here. It's very... Oh yeah, so back to the the subject of Hawara, right? To get through. Maybe I can show you a picture. Maybe I can show you a picture. Hawara. Let me go show you a picture of Hawara. Right. Hawara. Hawara rampage. Yeah, so the people of Hawara, they are very the people of Hawara, they're the Muslims, they're very violent. So for example, I'll give you a little example of how violent they are, right? So for example, if you travel through, one day I have to go back to, I have to just go there one day and I have to take video of what it's like, right? So all the time you go through Hawara, they have all these like shops. These Muslims have all these shops. They have all these fancy chandeliers. They have all these like fancy schmancy cars, right? They live like the high life. The Muslims, they live, even though they like to live in a shithole, right? Like they love to live in a dump. They love to throw their garbage everywhere, and I don't even know if they have good sewage systems, because they're supposed to govern themselves, so they don't really care how. It seems like they don't really care to live like normal people, even though like a lot of them, they own mansions, they own like real estate, and they have this like beautiful big huge mountains. I put pictures on my community page, and right, so you have Muslims like that you know, they hustle and they make a lot of money because they have a very good deal there in a lot of ways. The Muslims here in the Judea and Samaria, they have it very well because firstly they have a crime thing going on. They have they like to do crime, so they steal Jewish cars and they sell the parts, and they also, but a lot of them, if they have a job, right, if they get employed by Israelis, for example, they don't have to pay taxes, right? They don't have to pay taxes at all to, they get paid like minimum wage in Israel, and they don't need to pay taxes to anybody. They don't need to pay taxes to the Palestinian Authority or to Israel Authority. So, and because they live in Judea and Samaria and they're under their own like leadership, right? The Palestinians are under their own leadership. They basically live a much, everything by them is very cheap, right? Their food is very, very cheap. So if they make a average minimum wage Israeli salary, then they will be able to live a very nice life here in Judea and Samaria, right? So a lot of them, they make a good wage. There's a lot of Arabs that work here in my town that they make a good wage, and they go back and they have comfortable lives, and they don't pay tax, and they can buy homes. They can they can plunk themselves down anywhere, Judea and Samaria, and make a home. A lot of them, they build houses and they don't want to pay house tax. I don't know who they pay house tax to, but I think it's Israeli law. I'm not sure. They refuse to complete the house, because once you complete the house and put a roof over, then you have to pay a house tax. So most of them, they don't want to pay a house tax. This is the Muslims. That's how they don't want to pay. You know, they say, oh, Jews are cheap. Go look at how the Muslims live here and how they cheat the government and everything. So they will leave the beams in the sky from the building, and they won't finish it, and they never have to pay taxes for that somehow. And right, so a lot of them, they live a very nice lifestyle, and a lot of them, because they make Israeli wages and they get employed by Israelis, and everything is cheaper by them, and they don't pay any taxes. So a lot of them, they live really nice lives. They drive fancy schmancy cars like I never seen, and they live in like big fancy houses. Of course, you have the poor Arabs, but if you come here, you'll see what I mean, right? And like, it's a myth that the Arabs are suffering and they're this and that. They have pretty decent lives here. Plus, they do business with Israelis and the Jews in Judea and Samaria. There's a whole market going on here, right? There's a whole market going on in Judea and Samaria. So, and you just have to be tough enough to know how to deal with these Arabs, because you don't want to land up dead. You can't really trust them. But also they do the pay for slay, you know. So a lot of the Palestinian Authority, they pay their anybody that kills a Jew, they will get, for the rest of their lives, they will get a certain amount of money, and their families will be paid for, their families will be funded for the rest of their lives. So a lot of Arabs that literally, they don't really have, if they're more on the poor side, right, and they don't have a job in Judea and Samaria, it would be a really good thing for them to go and kill a Jew in Judea and Samaria, or anywhere in Israel. They'll go and kill a Jew for, not even for in the name of Islam, they'll go kill a Jew for, pay for slaves so that their family can be funded forever, right? Like, that's something that they do. And also on the side, they like to just kill Jews because it's something that they like to do. So it's a very complicated thing here. You know, like, people think they know what's going on here, right? They don't. I lived here already I already lived here, all in all, I already lived here 9 years. And so I know exactly how it works here. I lived in the cities. I lived in Jerusalem. I lived in Lud, in an Arab city with Jews. I lived in, I go to East Jerusalem every day. I travel through it. I lived in Judea and Samaria, right in the West Bank, for nearly 3 years. More than that, actually. 3.5 years probably, because I stayed by a friend in here in the West Bank. No, more actually. I'm living in the West Bank for 5 years now, because I live here in this town already, which is Judea and Samaria, already 2.5 years. 2.5? How many years I'm here? 2 years? I'm losing track, you know what I mean? Thank you, John. Yeah, it's very interesting when I think back, you know, at all the experiences, and somehow, you know, right? Well, I guess, like, a lot of American Jews, they don't want to move here because a lot of them, they're comfortable in America because it's more calm, even though they get attacked every day. But, like, I guess they like the feeling, a more comfortable lifestyle, and they like to have proper service when they go to the doctor. They have manners, right? Because Americans have more like, oh, excuse me, thank you, hi, how are you? You know what I mean? Like, that type of manners. Customer service. Here, there's literally no customer service. Everybody yells at everybody. Like, I was in the mall today, right? Not in the mall. I went to Jerusalem to go to my job, right? And so I was in the central bus station in Jerusalem. And I went to get myself a coffee because I was so tired and I wanted to have energy to go and clean. So I forgot to drink coffee in the morning in my house. But then as I was walking out the door, I remembered that I didn't drink coffee. So then I was like, okay, I have to go because I don't want to be late. So I left without coffee. And then I went to Jerusalem Central Bus Station, and while I was there, I got a coffee, and I got a little cheese thing. I really like a little thing that's cheese thing. And I like to eat it with the coffee, but I didn't have an appetite to eat because I wasn't hungry. So I just had the coffee. And then, right, and then I went to the bathroom. And then you have to pay to go to the bathroom, like 1 shekel. And then I was like thinking, you know what, there was like a place of roses. They had like flowers downstairs. There was a man selling flowers in the entrance of the central bus station. So I said to myself, I was looking at the flowers, I'm like, oh, it's so beautiful. It was like being in the botanical gardens, you know, and just smelling in the flowers. It's so much nicer than smelling in the flowers. It's so much nicer than anything else. So I'm looking at them and I'm thinking to myself, I should buy the lady I clean her house, I should buy her flowers. But then I'm like, no, she doesn't want lots of flowers. You know, she would appreciate one, right? One rose or something. So I wanted to get her a rose, a very pretty pink rose, very delicate, pretty pink rose. I wanted to get for her, but they didn't sell it single. You had to buy a bouquet, you know, bouquet. You had to buy like a thing. So I went to the Israeli guy, and I asked him, I said, do you sell single roses? And he's like, he says to me, he's very aggressive, you know, like, I guess he didn't like that I was speaking to him in English, right? But he knew English, so. But in a typical Israeli fashion, I guess like they're used to being very like screaming at each other, and they're used to being combative, you know. They're very, everybody here is on edge, so he's like, there, over there, on the other side. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So I didn't go straight away to the other side, and I was looking at the roses on the same side, and he's like, on the other side. He's like yelling at me, and I'm like, oh my god, whoa, calm down. Like, okay. I mean, secretly I was thinking to myself, maybe he misspoke. Maybe the rose is here. I can get one, a single one on this side. No, but he said it's on the other side. So I go look on the other side, and I see he's only selling single roses, which is one red roses. Red roses only. He's selling single. So I was like, red roses, he's selling single. So I was like, you know what, it's better than nothing. So I went and I tried to pay to him. See, I'm not thinking clearly. So I tried to pay the rose. It was 10 shekel for one rose, which is about, how much is 10 shekel in dollar? 10 shekel in dollar. 10 shekel in dollar USD. USD is $3. Not bad. Okay, one rose was $3. So so I'm going to him, and I'm trying to pay, right? And he's like yelling at me. I'm like, how much? He's like, 10 shekel. And I'm like, oh, can I give you cash? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, whoa, like, I felt like a little girl being yelled at. I'm like, what did I do wrong? Like, did I do something wrong? Why is he screaming at me? Why is he screaming at me? And he's in the flower business, you know? You're supposed to be, like, you're selling flowers. But he's, like, yelling at me. So I paid him 10 shekel, and I took the rose, and I gave it to the old lady. She was very happy that I brought her a rose. So mission accomplished, right? And, yeah. So that's, like, the Israeli mentality. Back to the idea why Americans don't want to come here. American Jews, for example, because they're used to, like, they're not used to the Israeli mentality, right? Like, they're not used to people skipping them in line. They're not used to people, like, when you're in line, they're not used to people, like, bumping into them without saying sorry. They're not used to people just, like, standing next to you, like this, like, you know, like, you move along and they you know, like, it's like, they just don't want to, you know what I mean? Like, in America, it's like this. Everybody stands like this in the line to pay. Everyone's, like, standing like this, actually. But in Israel, it's like this. They move along with you. It's not easy here. Not everybody's up for it, you know? I suppose you can get used to it, you know? Anyway, so, what's the point? What's today? Thursday? What's the point? The point is, what's the point? Oh, Huara. Okay, let's go see. Let's go see if we can. How to respond to what happened in Huara? Oh, what happened in Huara? Oh, the evil Israeli settlers went on a rampage through Huara. Why did they go on a rampage through Huara? That's the question. The answer is that the Arabs from Huara probably killed some pregnant mother on her way to work, you know? Right? But these Muslims, they're wild, you know? Like, they're not civilized people. Right? YouTube France. We don't want to see France. We want to see an Israeli source, right? Huara. If I could show you, maybe traveling through Huara, right? So, revenge riots consume West Bank village of Huara, right? So, 2 Israelis here were killed, right? 2 Israeli soldiers were killed here, for example, and after that, the Israelis, you know, usually the settlers will respond by just doing petty damage to property, right? Because they won't kill Arabs after Arabs kill them, but they will try to show some force, because if you don't show them force, then they will kill you. So, right?
לסיום. מה ערפת עם ידידה? תשאל, הבית שלי הוצף, נכנסו לי...
Our story today, our main story, a deadly and dreadful rampage by Israeli settlers through a Palestinian town Sunday night. Palestinian media said some 35 homes and 90 cars were torched by some 400 settlers that arrived in the village of 7,000 people overnight.
They deserved it, you know. These Muslims, they went and killed. They go and kill innocent people, and they expect no response. Like, they go and murder Jewish people minding their own business, and then, you know, when there's a response, when the Israelis respond, right, and they blow up their houses, suddenly, settler violence, you know, like, really?
Photos and video on social media showed large fires burning throughout Hawara and lighting up the sky. Palestinian medics said one man was killed and dozens of others were wounded during the violence in the Palestinian town and in other villages neighboring Nablus. The attack came after settler groups had called for demonstrations to avenge Palestinian shooting attack in Hawara earlier in the day, in which...
You see, this is I-24 news, this is Israeli news. So they're very leftist, you know, like the way they frame this whole story. They try to paint the settlers, like the Jewish people living in there's like almost 1 million people, Jewish people living in Judea and Samaria, and they have families, and they're civilized people, they have jobs, they go back and forth from work, they are trying to live and educate their people, their families, they're trying to live life here, and then their kids get killed by jihadis, right? And then when they respond, settler violence. Like, really?
2 Israeli brothers in their 20s were killed.
2 Israeli brothers from the same family were murdered.
Funeral will be held today at 2 p.m. Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas condemned what he called terrorist acts carried out by settlers under the protection of the occupied forces. We hold the Israeli government fully responsible.
They killed 2 people here. Like, why are they complaining when their houses get torched? Why? Like, there's only one way to deal with mob violence, like Arab violence, Muslim violence. There's only one way to deal with it, is to show them forth. You have to speak their language, because if you don't, they will continue murdering you, just like they did. They killed, like 15 years ago, the Muslims in the West Bank near this place. They went into a Jewish home on Shabbat, and they murdered an entire family, named the Vogel family. 3 children were murdered, 2 babies were killed, slaughtered. It was a bloodbath, and the parents were killed by 2 Arab teenagers, and they didn't have a chance, right? So this is what they do. They go into people's homes and they slaughter innocent people and babies. So, and then and if you don't respond to them, they'll come back and they'll kill you. They'll finish you off. You know, if you don't go and torch their village and show them force and say, hey, don't fuck us up, or we'll fuck you up, they'll come back and they'll finish you off.
Claiming that the settlers have taken their cues from the positions of some ministers in this extreme right-wing Israeli government. Only 6 of the 400 settlers have been arrested overnight for their involvement in the attacks. President Herzog and Prime Minister Netanyahu strongly condemned the attacks by Jews overnight.
Well, they deserved it, you know.
The IDF and the security forces are currently in pursuit of the murderer. We will find him, capture him, and deal with him. But even when the blood is boiling and the tempers are high, do not take the law into your own hands. I ask to let the IDF and the security forces do their...
Yeah, whatever. Listen, the IDF, they're not allowed to protect the Jews there, because the government, as you can see, this news channel, I-24, this is the way they covered the story. They started off with Israeli settlers, evil settlers went and rampaged through the village of Hawara of Arabs, and only after did they say why they did it, right? You're supposed to start off the story with Arabs murdered 2 brothers from one family from Judea and Samaria. In revenge, the Israeli settlers went and lit their houses on fire. That's how you're supposed to report a story, right? So, whatever, look, you know, there's only one way to deal with tribal violence, right? And that's with more violence.
I remind you that in the last few weeks they've eliminated dozens of terrorists and prevented dozens of terror attacks. Let the IDF complete the chase. Don't take the law into your own hands. Together, we will defeat terrorism.
We're now turning to Hawara, where our correspondent Pia Stettelbach joins us. Pia, how is it looking this morning? What are you hearing from residents in Hawara?
שלום. לסיום. מה ערפת עם ידידה? תשאל, הבית שלי הוצף.
These people in Hawara, okay, I forgot to say what else I saw in Hawara, right? I forgot to say what else I saw in Hawara, right? So, these people in Hawara, right, these Arabs, they have all their shops, right? They have their shops of stolen goods that they stole, or they took out of garbage and they refurbished some stuff and they sell it. And they're so like, how do you say? They're like throwbacks, like to the Middle Ages, right? Like they're so primitive. They'll take a cow, for example, and they'll take a cow. They have a meat shop, right? They'll take a cow and they'll hold it down and they'll slaughter it in the street with all the Arab kids running around, right? Men, women, children walking around. They'll take a cow, they'll hold it down, and they'll slaughter it in the street. They'll cut its head off, they'll skin it in front of everybody, and they'll hang it up. I don't know why they do that, but that's the type of thing they do in Hawara, right? When you pass by in the car. And so that's the type of people they are, you know, like they'll cut cows' heads off. They have a very savage culture, you know, like you won't see that in Jewish culture, right? Like barely, actually. Maybe during Yom Kippur, right? Before Yom Kippur, actually. A lot of the time they would take the chicken and they'll slaughter the chicken. So yeah, okay, we're a little bit hypocritical, but a cow in the street, cutting its head off and skinning it in front of everybody, and the blood is gushing down the street. It's like savagery, you know what I mean? Like, it's savagery. And so like you get used to this type of thing, you know, slaughtering animals in public in front of people. And okay, we're a little bit of hypocrites because we do that in Yom Kippur, actually, right? We do that in Yom Kippur. We take the chicken and we swing it over our head and then we slaughter it and we give it to the poor, right? And they do it by the sheikhet, you know, the people who do ritual slaughter. They will take it and they will cut the head off the poor chicken, and then the chicken runs with the head cut off, right? It's really sad. But then that chicken donates to the charity for the people to eat, for the poor people. So it's for a good cause, right? Yeah. Back to the video. Where are we? Hawara.
Well, Ariel, you can definitely still see some remnants from yesterday
Yeah,
night's rampage
this
of
is what it looks like.
Not only raided here in the town.
This is what it looks like, the Hawara, right? The village of Hawara. You see, I don't know if you can see and make it bigger.
Of Hawara, but also in the surrounding villages, you could still see tear gas canisters shot by Israeli forces laying on the ground. And I'll step aside for you to see there is still, you can of course see those burnt buildings. We have seen that 40 buildings have been partially destroyed, 35 buildings have been completely destroyed by being...
Okay. You see? Do you see what I'm saying here? You see here? This is what I was talking about before with the roofs not finished, right? You see the roofs are not completed. They leave like as if they're still building. You see right here. See here? You see all this stuff on top? You see right here? They never complete the building. They never do the last floor on top of the building because if they complete it, they have to pay taxes. I'm not sure if they have to pay tax or something to Israeli government or to whoever else, but that's what so they don't complete it. Like, that's the type of thing they do. You see, I don't talk out of my ass. I'm showing you how the Muslims live. And in most of the Muslim villages, you'll see the same thing. People, they have mansions and they'll leave the top like this. They don't complete it.
Porch, also cars. When we were closer to the main street in Hawara earlier, we could still smell the burnt rubber from the tires, and you can see that this junction here.
So this junction here is actually on the way to where I used to live in here in Judea and Samaria.
Specifically, the army is very present because the manhunt is still underway for the perpetrator of yesterday's attack, the killing of the two Israeli brothers.
Wow, it's like this I-24 news. They really they're real leftists. They demonize the settlers, the Jewish people living in these areas. They really demonize them. Like, it's really sad to see because I live here in Judea and Samaria, and there's many secular people living here as well. There's secular people that don't even care about the whole idea of they don't care for the idea of the land, you know, like living on the land. They care just for cheap rent and nice lifestyle, you know, like cheaper lifestyle, clean place, right? So there are secular Jewish people who are from all parts of Israel, and they move to Judea and Samaria to have a more like clean lifestyle, you know, to live in a nice place, to have like more suburb, right? And to have cheaper rent, right? So there are people like that live here too. And then when they get killed also, you know, like they could start, they can be one of those people going and torching down this Arab village. 'Cause you kind of pay a price when you live in Israel.
And the settlers who were active here yesterday night, who were responsible for the rampage, they were saying that this is a revenge attack for the killing of the two brothers. Now tonight, not far away from here, from the town of Za'atara, a 37-year-old Palestinian was killed, Sahib Akhtar. And this area here, this street, that main street that is going through Hawara that you can see right behind me, this is really a flashpoint, because this is one of the very few areas in the West Bank where Palestinians and Israeli settlers directly meet. When you continue straight away towards what I'm facing right now, you'll reach the major Palestinian city of Nablus. And as you can see, surrounded...
So there is Har Bracha. That way is Har Bracha, the Jewish community of Har Bracha in that place in the Judea and Samaria. And that way is near Nablus, and that's where Itamar is, where I used to live. Right? I know this place.
This small town of Hawara, it has about 7,000 inhabitants only, but it is surrounded by settlements, as you can see them here on those hills.
You see here? This is Arab, here's Arab cities, you see? All these fancy buildings. Individual Muslims own these lands, right? They own these mansions. They live very wealthily. A lot of them, they just have the land and they don't even live there.
The small town of Hawara, it has about 7,000 inhabitants only, but it is surrounded by settlements, as you can see them here on those hilltops. This is the settlement of Itzal, and this is where those people that are responsible for that
settlers, evil settlers.
rampage tonight have been coming from. As you mentioned, Ariel, estimated 400 people coming from those settlements tonight were here, and 6 were arrested. We have heard condemnations from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and also from the Israeli president. But you know, when you talk to people here on the ground, we had the chance to speak to a member of the municipality of Hawara. He was saying how surprised he actually was about the extent of tonight's rampage, that he hasn't seen anything like that before here in Hawara, and that he also holds this very far right-wing Israeli government responsible, and he says they are supporting these, as he mentioned, as he called them, racist attacks.
Horrific scenes there overnight from Hawara. Thank you very much, Pia. Of course, we'll be back with you soon. We stay.
What's horrific is the Jews being killed. That's what's horrific. The rampage in Hawara, it's nothing.
With our coverage of this story, the settlers' attack on Hawara came hours after a regional security summit wrapped up in Aqaba in Jordan. Israelis and Palestinians met in an attempt to ease the growing tensions in the West Bank. The outcome from there, according to American reports, a freezing of Israeli building and settlements for the next 4 months.
Excuse me?
The IDF has deployed another battalion to the Nablus area in the West Bank, in addition to the 2 that are already stationed there. The White House, EU, and the UK have condemned the attacks by Jews overnight in Hawara.
Of course they do. They don't condemn Jews being murdered. They never condemn any Jews being slaughtered by the Muslim jihadis in these areas. They never condemn it. But what they do condemn is when we fight back. They don't like it. A dead Jew is a good Jew. That's what they love.
State Department spokesman Ned Price said in a statement, "We condemn today's violence in the West Bank, including the terrorist attack that killed 2 Israelis and settler violence."
Oh, you see? They only include that afterwards. They should first condemn. You know, you want to condemn everything, you say, we condemn the terrorist attack that murdered 2 brothers from one family for no reason other than they're Jewish. Oh, and then we also condemn the Israelis taking revenge. That's how they should say it. But no, you know, they first, as you saw from the beginning of this video, they just show the bonfires, you know, the rampage of the Israelis going into the Muslim places and lighting things on fire. That's what they show first, but they don't show what caused that. They show that after, right? So it's backward, right? So it's a good way of demonizing people, Jewish people living here, and it's a good way of also propaganda, you know. This is a leftist paper, I-24. You know, like, yeah, it's very interesting. A lot of the Israeli leftists, they think that Judea and Samaria is a problem. What they don't understand is that if the Jews leave Judea and Samaria, it will become like Gaza. The Jews of Judea and Samaria are keeping Israel safe, because if you come to Judea and Samaria, you'll see that it's basically, from here you can see straight into Israel, all the cities. Because Israel is very small, Judea and Samaria, you look into you can see Tel Aviv from Judea and Samaria. You can see Jerusalem from here. You can see everything. You know. So it would be great for the Arabs to wage war on Israel and to kill more Jews. You know, they can send rockets into here. They can make tunnels like they did in Gaza. They can literally make a hellhole over here and be more successful and do October 7s like what the Gazans did. So a lot of the leftist Jews that live in Israel and hate the Jews of Judea and Samaria, they're fools, because the same exact thing happened in Gaza, right? So in Gaza, there were Jewish people who were called settlers. They settled Gaza, parts of Gaza, and right, there were like 10,000 families living there. And they lived very hard lives, right? they would get on a daily basis from the people of Gaza, would send in rockets into the Jewish communities in Gaza, and they would do terrorist attacks on the Jewish communities in Gaza, and it was a very sad situation. And then Ariel Sharon decided to withdraw the Jews from Gaza, right, in 2005 for peace. So we took out the Jews of Gaza, and what happened was that we saw what happened, right? For 20 years after that, after they withdrew the Jews from Gaza, the Jews from Gaza that were withdrawn, they still are homeless, a lot of them. It's really sad. That was like a crime that the Israeli government did. The only crime that the Israeli government ever do is to us, to the Jews here, not to any Arabs. The Arabs are very soft on them. They give them lots of privileges. But the Jews, they're very hard on the Jews, right? So, I would say, like, a lot of the people in the government, they're a bunch of, like, how do you say? They're a bunch of traitors, So, right? So that's the point. After they withdrew, they pulled the Jews out of Gaza, and the Jews had to take the dead with them too, because as you know, right? As you know, yeah, whatever. So, excuse me. So, because you know that the Arabs, they like to desecrate corpses. They like to dig up dead bodies and play with it, use a skeleton head as a baseball, That's the type of thing they like to do. So, the Jews had to take out their dead and dig them up and bury them elsewhere. Also, then after that, the Arabs took over everything, and they burned down the synagogues, and they torched everything down, and then they created more terror infrastructure, right? And they started sending more rockets into Israel. So the barrier between the people of Gaza, it was broken down, because the Jewish people living in Gaza, they were basically a protection for the Jewish people living down south near Gaza. They were a border. They were a border of protection for the other Jews living down south, right, from the Gazan people, because the Gazan people are fanatics and evil. So then you saw what happened, right? So once the Gazans were removed, the Jewish people in Gaza were removed, then what happened was that, I'm so tired. It's all history, right? What happened was the people in Sderot, right? The people down south, they had to live under more threat, right? They had to rockets for 20 years after that. We gave them land for peace. We only got more war. And the rest is history. October 7th happened, right? Because the Jews were removed from Gaza, and it became a terror infrastructure, because you leave the Islamic jihadis to manage themselves, and what happened is that they don't really know how to manage themselves. They manage themselves into the ground, they go and whatever. You know what happens.
In the killing of one Palestinian, injuries to over 100 others, and destruction of extensive property.
שלום. סיום. מה ערפת עם ידידה? תשאל, הבית שלי הוצף, נכנסו לי ברכב.
We're now joined by Avi Melamed, founder and CEO of Inside Middle East Intelligence Perspectives, a Middle East expert. Thank you very much for being with us. I'm wondering, with the reports this morning, how come only 6 settlers were arrested? We're talking about more than 400. It took hours for the IDF to stop the violence. This is Area C in the West Bank, which means that it is controlled by the IDF. Where was the IDF, and why are not more being arrested?
I don't know exactly what was the IDF, but I can tell you that it's very clear that what we see is very much connected to what's going on inside Israel. I'm talking mostly about the fact that they in the center of power of Israel, in the economy, in the constitution, in the homeland security, we have ministers that are coming from the same mindset and the same modus operandi of those hooligans who committed last night this rampage in Hawaii.
Oh, okay. See, I can't
We
listen to
have
this.
ministers in the government, and
See, this is what we call. You see this guy? This is what we call traitor. You know what I mean? Like, I understand you're upset and you don't want people to do vigilante justice, but like, a lot of the reason why the settlers, they go and they take revenge and light things on fire and destroy property is because, number one, for a Muslim, their property is number one, right? They value property over value property over life, right? So if you destroy their property, then you basically destroy their honor. So that's why the Israelis go to the property and destroy it, right? And that's why if the Israelis want to punish the people of Gaza, they just need to annex Gaza, right? Take away the land, because all they care about is owning land. Wherever they go, they it's all about show off, to be prestigious and important. They need to own land more than anything, right? More than anything, they need to own land, and they will sell their children for land. They will sell their children for property. They'll sell their mother for property. So it's just the truth, you know. So this guy, these people, they're traitors. They stand with our enemies after what we've been through, you know. Like, a lot of the time, the IDF, they won't do enough, you know, to catch the monster who killed innocent people here in the West Bank, right? And who killed innocent Jews. So the Israeli Jews here, they feel like they're on their own, right? So that's why they take matters into their own hands, because they understand if they don't show strength to the Muslims here, what will happen is it's not going to end well for them. The Muslims will think they can kill more Jews without any consequences, and they'll see it as weakness, right? So if you live in like a place which is radicalized, if you live near radical people, if your neighbors are radical, you have to adapt to their mindset, and you have to become a little bit more like them. You have to understand their language. You need to speak their language. If you don't speak their language, then what happens is it's a miscommunication, and you can lose.
Colleague ministers are saying
It's
what happened yesterday. Once again, I'm for myself. It's totally missent by the context, and I have no doubt in my mind. And it's not surprising. That was how and become the heart of brothers to Israelis facing the solutions.
It's a miscommunication. You know what I'm saying? If you don't know the language of your neighbors, then it's not going to end well. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's a very interesting thing. Tell you, the evil settlers, all evil Jews, right? So funny. Anyway, yeah, it's a story, right? So I've been here already 9 years, and so I know what's going on here. I know the mentality. I see what's going on there. I understand why things happen. You know, I didn't only speak to Jews here. I speak to Arabs too. I dated some Arabs, which is a big mistake. Big mistake, right? Big mistake. I dated some Arabs. Big mistake. But I was just very, like, open, you know? Like, oh, whatever. But, you know, the interesting about dating an Arab is that whenever you get into a fight with them, you know what they say to you? Whenever I got into a fight with them, with the Arab guy I would date, right? If there was a miscommunication or we got into some sort of argument, automatically, you know what they would say? Try to take a good guess what they would say. What would they say to me? Right? They'd say, fuck the Jews. That's what they'd say to me. That's what they would say when we get into argument. Imagine the guy you're dating, right? You're supposed to be in love with them, romance, right? You think that they see you as a human being. But when you get into a fight with them because you're a Jew and because they're a Muslim, and in the heat of the moment when they're angry, their real feelings for you come out. So they don't really see you as a woman, right, as their lover. They see you as their enemy. They say, fuck you and fuck the Jews. That's what they say. That's what they say. And they know you're Jewish, right? Fuck the Jews. That's what they say. Literally. I'm not lying, right? I wish I could have got it recorded or something. They didn't only come out of their mouth. They came out in texts, you know? Fuck the Jews. That's what they say. That's the Muslim, you know? That's why I don't suggest to any Jewish girl to go and date a Muslim, because they hate Jews. And once they get you in their grasp and they take you to their village, it's over for you, you know? You get abused, and every time you get into a fight with them, they beat you to a pulp, they might kill you, and then they say, fuck the Jews. And then the entire village comes and says, the entire village will come and say, oh, the Yahud, and they'll come and spit at you. Jewish girls married to this guy, or they'll take all the villagers, the men will come and do gang rapes, you know? whatever. It's just their culture. It's Islamic culture, you know. It's very sad. There's a lot of Jewish women in Israel that get stuck in Arab villages, and it's over for them. Right? So I lived here for a long time, and I had discussions with Arabs. I've dated Arabs. I've spoken to a lot of Arabs. I worked with Arabs. Muslims, you know. A lot of them are nice people. You know, but more often than not, it's like, a lot of them are nice people, but just don't date them, you know. Like, don't date them, and you learn who they are, you know. Like, one guy, I see you, John. One guy, I used to go and travel on the bus to where I showed you in the video here, near Hawara. I had to go through there, right? So, there was one guy, because most of the bus drivers in Israel are Muslims, so, one guy, I was sitting in the front, and every time, you know, he would be driving the bus, this Muslim guy, he would want to talk to me. Oh, you're so beautiful. Oh, he'd say to me, you know. And he'd tell me all his story about his family and how he respects his mother and everything. And he told me his whole story about how he got divorced. He divorced his wife, and how he had crazy in-laws, and then they got into a fight, and then he told me that he bit his brother-in-law. He told me he bit his brother-in-law, and then he told me, he said to me, you know, if somebody insults my mother, I will throw them off a cliff. That's what he said. I respect women so much that if somebody insults my mother, I'll throw them off a cliff. That's what he said. I was like, oh my god, like, it's a very violent society. Like, this is how they think, like, talking to these Muslims, you know, just having a nice conversation with them, you know, like, listening, you know, they like to talk, you know, listening, you know, and you ask a few questions, and they answer you, you know, and they say, oh, they try to show you they respect women so much, right, but then they're gonna, oh, I respect my mother so much, if somebody insults my mother, I'll kill them, you know, like, throw them off the thing. I was like, oh my god, like, this guy is scary. He bit his brother-in-law, right? He bit his brother-in-law, and they got into a fight. And they're very violent, you know? Like, I was thinking back to, like, how I grew up, you know? Religious Jewish community. And that barely ever happens. It's, like, unheard of. Nobody bites anybody here. In the Jewish community, nobody bites anybody. It's like, we're not animals, you know? We don't act like that. You know, like, the Jewish community is more civilized. But, like, it's normal for them to talk like, oh, yeah, oh, this sharmuta, that sharmuta. They call, they're very, like, they're very free with their mouth, you know? They will, very vulgar language. So I was thinking to myself, like, okay, if somebody, like, insults my mother, you know, like, whatever, like, I'll just say fuck off and fuck you, and I'll just walk away. You know, I'm not gonna go kill anybody for that, you know? Like, that's murder. But that's their culture. That's how they think. It's not even about the honor of their mother. It's more about the honor for themselves. You know, for the honor of their property. Because women are property in Islam. Women are property. So, regardless of what anyone tells you, that's how they see women. They love their women just like they love their things. They love their objects. They love their property. And they respect their property so much. They will kill for their property. They will sell their daughter for their property, right? So, sell their daughter to the highest bidder, right? To buy property, right? So, go look it up, you know. Property is number one in Islam, right? So, that's the story, you know, like that's, I'm not speaking out of my mouth, my tachos, I'm talking from experience. So when I listened to that guy tell me all about how he bit his brother-in-law and how he will kill for his mother's honor, you know, I was like, oh my god, like, this guy's scary. You say the wrong thing to him, he'll just throw you off a cliff. And he's the driver. He's driving around in Judea and Samaria, you know, it's like, he's the driver. And most of the Arabs here are drivers. Most of the Muslims in Israel, most of the drivers are Muslim. Right? It's okay. Right, anyway. It's just their culture, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just their culture. I'm not trying to bash them. I dated them. And when I got into a fight, they said, fuck the Jews. So I'm like, okay, that's how you deal? That's how you treat me? Really? That's how you treat me? Like, I'm supposed to be your lover and the woman you respect, and you start calling me names, Sharmuta and Kusemek and all these other nasty names, you know, like, come on. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so that's that. Oh, back to this, right? We were talking about how they were making vigilante people to guard their places. The unit's first branch was established in Mala Dumim settlement, just east of Jerusalem. The city's mayor, Guy Yefrach, said in late May. When was this thing written? Today? Oh wow! So this is a thing that they have. Right, so they have a new settler volunteer force. Peace Now described the new force as an armed militia of his Ben Gvir friends and settlements. Peace Now is an anti-Semitic Nazi, and alleged that the police were giving extremists power and supporting. Oh my god! Oh my god! I can't believe they're saying that. Like, the people of Mala Dumim, a lot of them are not Jewish. Non-Jewish Russians in this place. Like, for them to speak like this, it's like, it shows ignorance, like arrogance and ignorance. Like, they don't know nothing about this place. The organization also pointed out that following October 7 Hamas atrocities, the IDF has established regional defense battalions in the West Bank composed overwhelmingly of residents of settlements. So that's a good thing. Oh, the Jews can't defend themselves. They should just roll over and die, right? Whatever. Numerous accusations of violence against Palestinians have been made against those regional defense battalions, and there are numerous documented cases of such units engaging in violence. Well, listen. Violence begets violence. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Jews are not the one initiating. The initiators are the Muslims, because they can't stand Jews living here, because they're anti-Semites. The Semites. The Jews are not the Semites. The Muslims are. No. You idiots. Anti-Semites was created. It was coined. It was that phrase. Anti-Semitism was created by an anti-Semite who used it directly just for Jews. So take it up with him, right? Yesh Din, which campaigns against settler violence, made similar comments, saying that, as we predicted, in the last 2 years, giving guns and uniforms to settlers assisted in their violence against Palestinians. Listen, the Jewish people in these areas are very peaceful, but they will fight back. And so I guess they just don't want the Jews to fight back. They just want the Jews to die. You know? So, as we predicted in the last 2 years of giving guns, right? The Jews are doing pogroms in the villages and expelling the Palestinians from the lands. No. These Arabs, they try to, you know, like, oh my god. I'm telling you, like, the organization added that the unit will increase the harm to Palestinians instead of helping with enforcing the law against violent settlers. Oh my god, like, seriously. Ben Gvir, who oversees the police, has frequently touted his efforts to recruit civilians into law enforcement through volunteer security squads. He has undertaken similar initiatives within the Green Line, but these squads have come under scrutiny for operating without proper oversight and detaining people without due cause. Oh, sure. I don't know, like, I thought the Times of Israel was, like, more, like, honest, but I feel like a lot of these articles, it's, like, so one-sided. It's like, this is supposed to be a Jewish newspaper, and they're not saying the honest truth about what's going on here. The honest truth is that these Muslims, they don't really care whether Jews live in a certain settlement or not. You know, like, in some settlements, so-called settlements, right, they're like cities within Judea and Samaria, and a lot of the people living here are not Jewish, right? There's a lot of Russian goyim living in these West Bank settlements, right? You have a lot of, it's very diverse. You have Christians living here, you have Jews, you have, like, non-Jews, right? You have, black people, Ethiopians, you have, all different kinds of people living in these areas, right? So, to just paint everybody as, like, settlers is, like, it's so not truthful. oh, yeah, oh, volunteering, arming volunteers to go and do vigilante justice. It's like, these are cities, civilized cities, where all different kinds of people live. In a lot of these so-called West Bank areas, you know. Some settlements are more, they have more just one kind of people, like religious people, Jewish religious people they might have. But in some places, like Ariel, for example, in the settlement of Ariel, they will have all different kinds of people living there, not just Jewish people. So it's just like, it's bizarre the way even the Times of Israel is lying about the truth here, because I live here. I live in the West Bank. I live in Judea and Samaria. I know exactly what's happening. I see what's happening. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's a little bit shocking to see this one-sided newspaper here. Like, I'm shocked. Like, I don't know who controls this. I literally don't know who controls this paper. But I feel like it's not the truth. It's not the truth of what's going on here. You know what I mean? It's just simply not the truth. You know what I mean? Oh. Okay, there's that, and who else did I miss, right? What else did I miss? Piece of you know what I think it is? I think it's more like, I think the reason why these newspapers, they talk like that, it's because, I don't know why they will lie. I don't know why these Jewish newspapers are lying about the truth. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Anyway. Yeah. What else is there? Right? What's this? 4 rescued after 48 hours at sea after Houthi hit. Greek vessels Eternity Sea sinks. 4 killed. Houthis believed to hold 6 of 11 missing hostages. What? The Houthis? Iran threats in UK significantly increased. IDF, Hamas used the Gaza hospital. Of course. UK doctors cut ties with Israel. Health officials fear more boycotts. Israel Air Force races to ready aging jets for more dangerous attacks in its history. So like the only real news that you'll really get in Israel is the nationalist newspapers. You want to know the true newspaper is Israel News here, Hayom, Israel Hayom, and this Israel National News right here, or Sheva. This one is going to be the only one that's actually honest, because they won't put a propaganda spin to the reality of what's happening here. They will be very factual and say exactly what happened, right? Fallen soldier, right? Hamas fired from the European hospital and left fighters to die. Avram Azulai fought off terrorists and was killed. Israeli murdered in attack at Gush Etzion supermarket. Yeah. Netanyahu pays tribute to murdered embassy staffers. Yeah. Hostage parents celebrate birth of grandson. Okay. 3-minute response that saves lives in emergency zones. Health Ministry launches national digital vaccination. Right, so this is like a more balanced newspaper. They're nationalist, and they will say exactly what goes on here, because they're not doing propaganda for the government. You know what I mean? Jews, infidels, and everything in between. What's this? In general, Westerners are taught to be kind, self-assured, self-responsible, and tolerant of others, while Muslims are taught to be aggressive, insecure, and intolerant. This is exactly how they are. Exactly. Yeah. Whatever, it's very interesting, my friend. It's very interesting. Let's go see. Yeah. It's been very interesting living here. I can tell you that much. It's been very interesting living here. It's been quite the, I don't know how to get rid of this stupid... I don't know how to get rid of this stupid... what do you call that thing? whatever. Never mind. I can't talk anymore because, as you can see, where's that thing with the YouTube live, right? Give me my channel. Create, go live. Let's go here. Where's everybody? Ah, here you are. Here you are. Anyway. Yeah. So that's the news of July? Yeah, it's July 10th. That's the news. And it's been real. Right? It's been real. I'm very tired, you know? Like, I woke up... I think it's because I barely slept last night. Like, I sleep 1 or 2 hours a night, and then I can't sleep, and then I'm exhausted, and then I get out of bed, and then I try to go back to sleep, and then you know what I mean? Like, it's just... And then when I travel, you know, then I get even more tired. I have to go on the buses, and I have to go here and there, and after sleep, and then, thanks, John. You take care. If you're in Iran, you gotta take care of yourself. Really. So, right, so then what happens is that I'm so tired, right? And then by the time I come home, right, I come home back to my house, and then what I do is I come home to my house, and then I have to take my raspberry out for a walk. Then I take her for a walk for like an hour and a half, and then I'll go for a walk, and then I have to go shopping, right? So I go shopping, and then I come home, and then I'm like wiped out. I'm exhausted, and then I can't think, and I can't talk, right? Yeah, I hope you take care of yourself, right? And it's time to go to sleep, but tired. Little raspberry, little dog. You want to say hi to the people before I go, raspberry? You want to say hi to the people in the video? Come. Raspberry, come say hi to the people. Can I pick you up? Do you let me? Do you give me permission to hold you? I have to ask her. I need her consent. Let me show you my raspberry. I need to show you consent. Consent to my raspberry. Raspberry? You can see her. No, I can't see her. I don't know what's going on here. Moves out of the way so you can... Raspberry? You see her? She's on the floor right there. You don't see her, right? It's... Can I take you? Do you let? You know, you're tired. She's very tired. I think we went on too long of a walk, and then she got tired, and I was holding her. I think my watch was hurting her, so... She's tired. She's not shy. She's just very tired. See, she's been resting and sleeping. You sleeping little girl. Right? I need to do Reiki on her. You know what I mean? Like, she's very tired. She doesn't want to. She wants to just sleep. Okay, I'll put you down. It's okay. Oh, but you know, it wakes her up. The squeegee thing with the noise. See this thing? This duck. It wakes her up. She gets very excited. she gets very excited. You see? She sees that's something that she can't resist. You know, when you make that noise, she automatically wants to play and grab the ducky. See, she just can't resist. You know, if by accident I step on one of those balls that make a noise, you know, like this, she can't resist. Right? Yeah. I just feel like you guys haven't seen her for a long time, so you know. Anyway, feel free to subscribe, unsubscribe if you like, not like, if you comments, and have a great day, my friends. Okay. What is the love? Who loves you? She's so cute. She looks at me like, I love you. I love you. She's guarding her ducky. She's guarding the duck. She's guarding it. She's making sure I don't take it away. She's guarding the duck. See? I touch the duck, she guards it. It's hers. I bought her yesterday. What did I buy her? This. I bought her this. I think she likes it. She likes it because it has like hair. She loves it. You see? She likes to play with it. It has its. I want to just show you. You see what it looks like? She likes it. So I bought it for her because I knew she liked it because it has arms and legs and it has like a tail and so she likes to like use it as a rag doll. And she goes like this. She goes like this. Right, Andrew? Go like this. And then she likes to run after balls. And she bit this open. This ball I bought that bounces. Oh, it's still bouncing. She bit it. Right? She just ran away because I threw the thing, so she can't help herself. You know, like, watch this. Raspberry. Raz. Go get it. Coming with her little ducky. And I'm going to pick her up. Up. Okay. You're such a big girl. You have a ducky. Yay, Raspberry. I need to get her another ducky. It's not enough. One's not enough. She needs more duckies. Right? Right? Right. She's so cute. Ew. She's so sweet. Love her. Anyway, have a great day.